Start. I'm gonna try to be a little bit better when I talk and less mumbling, more enunciation, I guess. Yeah. All right. I'm still setting up. Give me a moment. I did it again. Oh well. I suck at this. Okay. Let me get this ready. All right. Here we go. Start the stream. Good. Okay. So this is just going to be a short one. You can see that there's no invite. So I guess this is an monologue, but it's not a monologue, really. I've got some things going on tonight. So hi, Eric. How's it going? I am going to host later on tonight because I think James isn't going to. I'm not sure who else. It's typically Wednesdays. I don't see him host. So I will come back and do a host later on tonight, probably around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Most likely 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so what I want to get to is just go over some of the people that I've been watching and reading and listening to. And I just forgot that I didn't go over some. Sorry, I didn't post. So let me post that real quick. And sorry for all the clicks. Here we go. So like I said, if you're joining right now, I am not doing the typical Zoom people talking until later on tonight, which would be at 11 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. Hi, Nash. So getting to the point now that I am all set, I'm gonna just kind of go over some people that I've been watching, listening to, and reading stuff about. And the first one is, and I will share some of the video snippets, but if you want, you can go and watch. There's all the links to them below in the description box. So if you have time and you want time and you just want to look at some of the things that I've been watching, you can go right on ahead and do so. First one is Quantum of Solace. He's got a lot of subs and views, at least way more than me. But he hasn't been doing much. So I'm thinking this is probably like a second account or something like that. His name is Matt. I don't know his last name. Now, this is like a truther, a very down the rabbit hole guy, but he's got some good stuff. Basically, every one of these people that I'm talking about has a strategy or solution of what can you do if you're looking for that type of stuff. Here, I'm going to just go ahead and play a snippet from Quantum of Solace's first video on this YouTube channel. So just so you get a taste.
Do not feed it your attention and energy. So let's go over this one last time. If the logic doesn't follow, please let me know. This will be very quick. This reality is not what was intended. Who the F can't see that? 2. If one exists, then by definition, something changed it, corrupted it, or hijacked it, the reality. 3. If we acknowledge what we have was not what was intended, then was the change good collectively for us or bad collectively for us? Cancer, war, obviously bad collectively for us. One can assume, number 4, one can assume that then this system, this way of living for humans, is a benefit to some, a few at the top, while hurting most of us. There's no need to react here. This just goes by definition. So it's important to find out who done it. Who screwed us? Not if you believe my solution is real. If we find out who it is, it's, in my opinion, because they want us to find out and they want the murderous reaction. And that feeds the negative frequency on the planet, in my opinion. So My big point number 5 here is the solution works no matter who it is, so who gives a shit who it is? Starve the fuckers no matter who they are. They all starve equally. They all starve equally by us not giving attention to the sick, adulterated system that they created from the day of our birth and 17 grandparents back. 6. If we determine the cause of the transmission problem, is it of any good to go punish the cause? Well, we've kind of already covered that. Obviously not. 7. Again, we just want to fix it. We just want to get it working again. We just want to get the car back on the road. I don't give a fuck what happened to the transmission. I just want to drive the car normally. Great. Simply fix the car. Rebuild reality in the image you want it to be every day. Rebuild your reality. Whether you believe human beings are actual quantum creator beings or not, you still have the ability to rebuild your reality in every action you take as a human being, which will reflect on your very soul, whether you're religious or not. There are implications to the choices we make in this world, whether you're religious or not. I mean, everybody's inner voice tells us that. It's the reason why if they didn't get rid of all laws, we just wouldn't go around slashing people's throats. In fact, you could interview 100 people on the street and say, if all laws, we just got rid of all laws, would you go rob? Would you go? And 100 people out of 100 people, of course there's some fucked up people, but generally the 100 you would come across would go, no, I wouldn't do anything different. I probably would look out for my fellow man more because I would know there's no laws to do it anymore. They would actually get more diligent, most likely. 9, we fix the situation by starving the system. When an element of it or a tiny little symptom of it manifests itself in front of you, reject it. Don't give it your anger. Don't give it your attention. Don't say Hillary Clinton's an evil witch. They want that. Somehow that feeds them. Laugh at it. If you want to give it any attention, laugh at it and mock it and rise above it. And if they give you 2 doors, turn around and go away from the 2 doors. And if they give you 2 doors, make your own 3rd door and show the people around you that's what a real human being does. And it starts with identifying that this sick system is corrupt and was not intended for the human race, going back a long, long time. I look forward to your comments.
All right, so I did notice that here. I think he's the Silent Watcher. I'm not sure if I ever subscribed to him. Sounds familiar. Anyways, good stuff. His latest video goes into Kennedy coincidence, and I kind of want to go over that later on tonight at around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. I will be having the anyone can join and discussion stuff, and it will be more on point. Naomi Wolf is another one, and I'm surprised I haven't seen or noticed her too often, and I'm just going to do some short snippets here.
Do you think you look at the potential election of a female president in the same way that African Americans looked at the election of one of their own in 2008? Is the draw of voting for one of your own the same in this cycle as it was not long ago for Barack Obama?
Well, I don't consider Hillary Clinton one of my own, just like I don't consider Eva Peron or Margaret Thatcher one of my own.
But why not Hillary?
Because I don't share her politics, and I think she's wholly owned by Wall Street. It's not entirely her fault. We have a system where a candidate can't not be wholly owned by these special interests on the left or on the right. But, and I should disclose, my children's father was her speechwriter in the Clinton administration, and everyone who works with her loves her. She's a lovely person in person, there's no question about that. But I object to her warmongering. I object to her, endorsing the police state. I object to her buying into hyping terrorism as a way to, build the military-industrial state, who are her donors. I mean, she's not my girl. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. I naively would have believed that you would have looked at this as an opportunity to break that glass ceiling.
I mean, I would rather vote for a man or woman who represents a peaceful, egalitarian world. I'm not the kind of feminist who believes in sexism. I mean, just because someone shares my gender doesn't mean they represent me. I want the best person for the job.
Okay. Naomi, thank you so much.
Good stuff. If you've never heard of Naomi, just like I kind of haven't. I mean, I know the name. I knew she was an author, but I didn't know that she was kind of gone into the political realm. Here's another part. It might be a little bit long. Maybe I don't want it all the way. I don't know. We'll see.
Welcome to The Alcove. I'm Mark Malero. My guest today is the celebrated author Naomi Wolf. She's the author of the renowned early 1990s feminist classic, The Beauty Myth. Her latest book is entitled The End of America, Letter of Warning to a Young Patriot. Welcome.
Thank you.
As to anybody that reads this, feels inspired, this book really is a call to action.
It is. I mean, the basic argument of the book is that when would-be despots or would-be dictators want to close down an open society, close down a democracy, or crush a democracy movement, no matter who they are, whether it's Mussolini in the 20s, the National Socialists in the 30s in Germany, East Germany in the 50s, Czechoslovakia in the 60s,
Right.
Pinochet's coup in Chile, the Chinese in the 80s, they all do the same 10 things. They all take the same 10 classic steps to close down a democracy.
It's a playbook.
It's a playbook. It's
Yeah.
a blueprint. It's like tick, 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 tick. And what is so shocking to me, you know, and I didn't know this, and I actually wrote the book because a friend of mine who's the daughter of Holocaust survivors kept saying they did this in Germany, they did this in Germany, and I thought she was way out there. I thought this was rhetoric. Right. And I didn't want to think about it, but she forced me to sit down and read history, and not the history of the later years, of course, but the early years when Germany was still a parliamentary democracy with a modern society, celebrities, fashion, architecture, newspapers, an independent judiciary. And in those early years, there was this very comparable systematic assault on the rule of law and the Constitution that opened the door for everything that followed. And seeing this just made my hair stand on end, because we weren't just seeing tactics being reproduced, but actual sound bites and scenes and images
Right.
being recycled from those, 1931, 1932. So
Yeah.
when I realized, and read these other histories, I understood that the great dictators were the innovators of this blueprint. Mussolini was the great original mind. Hitler studied Mussolini, Stalin studied Hitler, Hitler studied Stalin, and then petty dictators subsequently reproduced the blueprint. We teach the blueprint at School for the Americas to would-be Latin American dictators. So I can tell you by the clock what time it is from knowing the blueprint, in the sense
Wow.
that, I wrote the book when Thailand was experiencing a coup. And I was like, okay, everyone, there was a coup in Thailand, and they checked through a shopping list of activities, and within a week, a democracy was a police state. And in Burma, Myanmar, 2 weeks ago, because I know the blueprint, it's like, okay, today the monks are marching, tomorrow they're going to fire on the monks, in 3 days they'll suspend communications and, cut off connection to the outside world. Yeah. And so because I'm familiar with the blueprint, and democracy activists around the world are like, no, America, don't do it.
Right.
Because I'm familiar with the blueprint, I see how dangerous it is.
All right. So Naomi Wolf, that's a pretty long interview, 38 minutes. I only showed 3 minutes. Definitely go have a watch. I will want to go read the book sometimes, or sometime. And anyways, just thought I'd show you another one that to look at is of her again. Kind of exposing fake news, false flags, and it's something that we're going to talk about later on because of the bill that kind of got into an amendment within Congress and got passed into law, which makes propaganda legal again for the government to do against its citizens. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about later tonight. Again, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have that talk.
Boston, when we were looking
the
for a pressure
bombing?
cooker and 2 teenagers, and then they took over the whole city and shut it down. And to me, that looked a whole lot like martial law.
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't believe. See, this is why I didn't want to give this talk, because I knew that we'd have this conversation. And now it's on the record. All right, let me take a step back. We have to deal with it. Let me take a step back and a deep breath, because this is a very painful thing to talk about. So, all over the world, we know, it's well established, the State Department and intelligence agencies engage in theater, and it's what they do, it's spycraft, to create spectacles and events that people may not realize are spectacles and events, but that, like the overthrow of Mossadegh in the 50s in Iran. they'll funnel money to protesters. They'll, fly people in to infiltrate protesters. They'll create fake newspapers and so on. So we know that this happens in countries around the world. I believe that a law has been passed in the United States. I think it's part of the Defense Authorization Act. I need to confirm this. That, pardon me, now makes it legal to propagandize American citizens. Do we know about that? Yeah, it's true. And is it in the NDAA or is it in something else? Do we know? It's a separate bill. It's a separate bill, and it's been passed. It's now law. Do we know what the 2 years ago? Do we know what the name of it is?
I don't remember, but I reported on it.
Oh, thank you. Will you send me the link?
Yes.
Thank you. So what this means is, and as a journalist, to say these words, I can't tell you with what a heavy heart I say them, but we've entered an era in which it is not crazy to assess news events to see if they're real or not real. And in the United States as well as overseas. And in fact, it's kind of crazy not to.
All right, so you can go ahead and see the full video. It's in the link in the description box. I only played 2 minutes. It's about 9 minutes long. It's worth a watch. Bill Cooper, here's one. Look at that. It's just a piece of part of his book. But there's like a rare interview of him. It's 25 minutes long. I'm just gonna do the piece. I mean, this book was written in, I think it was in the 80s. Not quite sure, but it resonates now. Something written in the 80s, probably 88. I have to double check. But that's 30 years ago, resonates now.
Of military firearms for the criminals to use. This is intended to foster a feeling of
Oops, sorry. Behold the Pale Horse. Yeah, that's what it's called. 1991. All right, so not quite 30 years, 27 years.
The government encouraged the manufacture and importation of military firearms for the criminals to use. This is intended to foster a feeling of insecurity, which would lead the American people to voluntarily disarm themselves by passing laws against firearms. Using drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in a process called Orion, the CIA inculcated the desire in these people to open fire on schoolyards and thus inflame the anti-gun lobby. This plan is well underway and so far is working perfectly. The middle class is begging the government to do away with the Second Amendment.
All right, so, I mean, if you read that now, and if you didn't know that that was something that Bill Cooper, Milton William Cooper, wrote 28 years ago, I mean, does that blow your mind? I mean, that's the same blueprint, the same playbook that they've been using, that they're still currently using. They didn't change because it worked in the past. They're not going to change it because it's going to work now. Again, I mentioned this in another on topic, which went off topic. And so now I would just go ahead and pasted the actual link to this transcript. 429 pages long, 409 pages long, worth a read, goes in depth, and it's something that you might be interested in if you want to go down that rabbit hole. And we are going to go down that rabbit hole later on tonight, partially. One thing I want to mention is something from Lost that I kind of thought about, where you want to have a constant. That was the episode with Lost. You want to have a constant when you go down the rabbit hole. You want someone to keep you grounded so you don't come out crazy, because I've seen some people, they've gone down the rabbit hole so far, they've gone crazy. Yes, Lisa, a lot of stuff. Anyways, that's it for now. I will see everyone later on tonight at around 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we can have a good discussion. All right, I'll see you guys.